What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're coming to you from down under here with the 25 best places to visit in Australia. Australia is home to 27 million people, and it is a country as well as a continent. First up, we're here in New South Wales on the southeastern coast of Australia in Sydney, right here along the Sydney Harbour, Port Jackson area. You've got a beautiful opera house, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And then around Sydney, you're going to have several different beautiful beaches like Bondi Beach, Manly Beach. So Sydney is definitely considered one of the most beautiful cities in all of Australia, and some would even say #1 city in the world in terms of beauty, typically with blue skies and just a really pleasant climate. And here's a look at one of these ocean pools here at Bondi Beach. That's a really cool concept, right? But what we're going to do now is actually head out to the Blue Mountains. And the Blue Mountains are nearby Sydney, so you can get out here within about 2 hours. Located here in New South Wales, it's known for its dramatic scenery. They've got steep cliffs, lots of eucalyptus forests, waterfalls, some villages that are really beautiful and quaint, galleries, gardens, and the major town in the area is Katoomba. From New South Wales, we're actually headed to Western Australia. This here is Perth. Now, Perth is one of the fastest growing cities and metro areas in all of Australia. Very beautiful, but it's very sparsely populated out here. In fact, Jakarta is closer to Perth than Sydney is. While here, you can cruise up and down the Swan River. You can head up to Kings Park Botanic Garden, Mount Eliza, go out to Rottnest Island. And there is many places to explore in Western Australia. It's very rugged but beautiful, like Lake Helier. Now, Lake Helier is on an island just south of Perth, on the southern tip of Western Australia. You can see it's known as a pink lake, one of the few pink lakes you'll see anywhere in the world. And if you wanted to come out here, you would need to take a boat. Some people do arrive by helicopter as well. A little bit later on in the video, we're going to show you more around Western Australia, but let's head to the interior and explore some of the Outback. So the Australian Outback is a desert, very arid, sparsely populated, lots of red dirt and dust, very sacred place to the Aboriginal people. There's a few famous places in the Outback like Alice Springs and more, but probably the most famous is going to be Uluru. Now, Uluru Rock, also formerly known as Ayers Rock, is one of the biggest rock formations or rock monoliths in the entire world. It's located in Kakadu National Park, and it has an Aboriginal rock paintings, petroglyphs and hieroglyphs nearby the area. So this is a really sacred place to the Aboriginal people. There's not much civilization around this area, and it's right in the interior of Australia, far away. Headed up to the northern part of Western Australia, we're here in Kimberley. Now, Kimberley is in the northwestern part of Australia, and it's a beautiful region to explore. You can see they've got sparse vegetation, some streams, rivers, and lakes around here. It's known for some exotic wildlife that lives here in this desert area of the northern Outback. But Kimberley is definitely a place to explore for those of you who like to explore deserts. Now we're headed down to the southeastern part of the country. This here is an island called Tasmania. Many of you know of the Tasmanian devil, but Tasmania is known for beautiful landscapes, lush green forest, and beautiful views. Also one of the coldest places in all of Australia. So if you're looking for a cold escape, come on down here to Tasmania and explore the beautiful terrain. The population of Tasmania is around 571,000 people, and the largest city is Hobart. That's typically where most people begin their journey. And maybe you'll see a Tasmanian devil, also known as a Tassie, down here. Consider checking out Wineglass Bay, Bay of Fires, or Cradle Mountain. Anywhere from 4 to 7 days is good enough for Tasmania. Next up, here we are in Esperance. This is in the southern part of Australia, still in Western Australia actually. Known for this beautiful white sand beach with these beautiful colors here, aquamarine. Also, they get whales and dolphin pods right here in this bay. So it's really a special place for marine animal watching, for those of you who are into that kind of stuff. But sunsets, sunrises, also very beautiful here. There is a town. So really, when you're coming out to Esperance, you're coming for this beach. And by the way, as we continue to show you around Australia, I want to let you know there is timestamps below so you guys can bounce around Australia from location to location. But here's a look at some of these whales that are nearby Esperance. They are seasonal. Just remember the southern part of Australia faces Antarctica. If whales are your thing, June to October is the best place to see them. Go to Cape Arid National Park or Shoal Cape. Maybe even consider Fitzgerald River National Park. Now we're headed out to Queensland, Australia. This here is the Whitsunday Islands. These are off the mainland of Australia. They're a set of islands. Here you have a very beautiful beach known as Whitehaven Beach. As you can see, it's very beautiful here. It is accessible by boat, seaplane, or helicopter, and you can hang out here next to Hamilton Island or Whitsunday Island while out here. Now we're headed out to the Great Barrier Reef. This is probably one of the most famous destinations in all of Australia, located here in northeastern Queensland off the coast, very nearby the Whitsunday Islands, so you can do both while up here. But as you know, Great Barrier Reef is the largest reef in the world and very famous for diving, for those of you who are into that. And yes, there are sharks in Australia, as you know, great white sharks, tiger sharks, hammerheads. You can see all of those around the Great Barrier Reef. Now here we are at Surfers Paradise. This here is in the area known as Gold Coast in Queensland. They've got a lot of high rises along this white sand beach, famous for surfing, but also the high rises that are along the beach. It reminds me a lot of Miami. So if you're looking for an experience similar to Miami, but a little bit more tame, come on up here to Surfers Paradise, Gold Coast. Nearby the Gold Coast in the interior is an area known as Glass Mountains. Last time I came out here, I landed at Coolangatta Airport, which is in the Gold Coast, and then I went into the interior, and you can see these beautiful mountains off in the distance. Some of them you can see from the ocean that Captain Cook used to use as a landmark for where he was in Australia. Now here we are at Kagari, also known as Fraser Island, which is the World Heritage listed sand island located here on the southeastern coast in the Wide Bay area of Queensland. And you can see they've got a beautiful lake in here. This lake here is absolutely beautiful. They've got the champagne pools nearby and Lake Mackenzie. You don't want to miss that lake. Staying here in Queensland, now we are at the Daintree National Park. You can see it's right here along the coast, very green. Now there are a few areas in northern Australia, in particular in northeastern Australia, that are very lush rainforests, Daintree being one of them. There's not a lot of big forested areas in Australia, but Daintree really stands out as a place to explore. For those of you who are planning to do the Great Barrier Reef, Gold Coast, Brisbane, all those areas, definitely don't miss the Daintree. Now here we are in the Northern Territory. This here is Darwin with a population in the greater area of 150,000 people. It is Australia's smallest capital city here in the Northern Territory. And while here you can actually get some really beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Just remember this is in the northern part of Australia facing towards Indonesia. Now we're out here at Litchfield Park. This here is in the Northern Territory. It's a really rugged area, similar to what you would see in the Kimberley area, except it's a bit more green and lush. Some beautiful waterfalls out here to explore, and just a unique terrain, as you can see with those anthills. But yeah, here's more waterfalls, people swimming in these lagoons and these streams. So Litchfield Park is like an adventure seeker's outdoor wonderland. So don't miss Litchfield Park if you're up here in the north. This is probably one of the top areas to see. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, consider giving us a like and subscribing to our channel as we continue to show you around the world all the best places. So from the Northern Territory, we're headed south again. This time we're at Kangaroo Island. I wonder why they call it Kangaroo Island. Well, you can see they do have some kangaroos out here. This is just off the coast of Adelaide, so when you're down in this part of Australia, you can also visit here. But really, it's just a beautiful island to hang out. Remember, this is on the southern part of Australia, so again, facing towards Antarctica. Definitely keep in mind that it does get cold here in the winter time, so the best months to visit are going to be during the summer, which is around December, January. Now here we are in the north again. This here is Cairns, another town north of Darwin area. So you've got quite a few different towns and cities popping up here in the northeastern part of Australia for you to explore, Cairns being one of them. With a population of 175,000 people, it is growing quickly, and it's considered a mild subtropical climate up here in Cairns. They do have a really cool train that you can check out while up here in Cairns. Also some waterfalls, forest in the nearby area. As you can see, these beautiful waterfalls here. This one you're looking at here is known as Barron Falls, located in Queensland, nearby Cairns. And now here we are in South Australia at the capital. This here is Adelaide, known as one of Australia's original founding cities. It was actually set up along the south coast, known as New Holland. As you know, the Dutch were also trying to colonize or settle in Australia before the British, but the British ultimately did the most work, so they got it. While in Adelaide, you can visit the many beaches, the boardwalk, the coastal area where they have the beaches there. Also, it is wine country down here. One of the interesting things I saw here was flying foxes. Those were quite interesting to see hanging from the trees. And now here we are in Victoria, Australia. This here is a look at the 12 Apostles. These are 12 rock formations along the Great Ocean Road area. And this is really a place you can explore in between Melbourne and Adelaide. So definitely take a look at these 12 Apostles. Very beautiful, again, South Coast Australia. And I would say while down here, do explore that Great Ocean Road from Melbourne down here towards the 12 Apostles, because it is amazing. Speaking of Melbourne, in recent years, Melbourne has actually overtaken Sydney as the largest city in Australia with a population of 5.2 million people. It's only 189 years old, so it's a fairly new city, as most of the cities are in Australia. It's really known as an international, multicultural city with great food selection. People consider Melbourne to be one of the most livable cities in the world, and it has ranked that several times over. Some of the best things to do here are going to visit the Royal Botanic Gardens. You have the National Gallery of Victoria, Melbourne Sky Deck. I went up there, it's quite impressive. You have the Queen Victoria Market, and lots of history here. Also, while in town, consider watching a footy game in Australian rules football. I came down here for the winter months in Australia, and it was very brisk and cold. So keep that in mind if you're showing up here during July or August, which is the winter down in the southern hemisphere. Also, take into consideration, the sun is very bright down here and people do burn quite easy. We don't know exactly why that is. I know there's not a lot of clouds in the sky, but also they say there's a hole in the ozone layer out here. But either way, the sun is very intense down here in Melbourne. Any time of year is a good time to visit Melbourne, but if you wanted to experience the beaches, you definitely want to show up in the summer months, which are going to be, again, November, December, and January. Probably the best beaches are going to be Brighton Beach, St. Kilda Beach, or Williamstown Beach. You can also head out to Half Moon Bay. From Melbourne, we're headed back up to Queensland. This here is Brisbane. This is just north of the Gold Coast area. This is one of the best cities in all of Australia. It's definitely probably the fastest growing city from my expectations, with a metro population of 2.4 million people. And you can see it's got a modern skyline, and it's semi-tropical up here, so you're not going to get that cold weather that you get down in Melbourne. And now here we are up in the far northwestern part of the country. This here is Broome. This is one of the most exotic and unique places in all of Australia for me, mostly because the wildlife here is really untamed, including crocodiles and what else is in the ocean around it. Now here we are in the capital region. This here is Canberra. So again, this is the capital of Australia for those of you who want to visit the capital area. Other than that, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV from Australia. Hopefully you got the information you were looking for. If you did, hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and consider watching more of our other videos. I'll put a link to Sydney and Melbourne here at the end. See you over there.